Hello, everyone. Welcome to the post game. It is your fill-in host, as always. I always say that because Boiler Dad's not here. Hoping you can all hear me. I have no idea. I have no way to test it because no one's here. I'm here alone. Um, I'll take a look at what you guys have to say in just a second. I will try not to distract myself with that as of right now. Uh, Purdue moves to 3-0 on the season. Your Boilermakers are 3-0. They win 87-80 in Tuscaloosa. In I think what we can all agree was a couple things. Was the game most people were worried about in the non-conference, right? I think that's fair to say. It's They have a stout non-conference, as they always do, as Matt Painter always looks for. Yet, when you look at that schedule, and I encourage you all to bring up the schedule and take a look at it, this had to be the game that you looked at and thought, well, that's going to be the loss, right? And I don't think anybody would have been terrified of that being a loss or really angry about it being a loss. I know Purdue fans can sometimes prove me wrong on that sort of thing. But that was the game I think everybody looked at and said, well, if you're going to find one early that you're going to lose, that's going to be it, right? And that's going to be fine because it's only the third game. Purdue's still figuring things out. They didn't look terrific in their first couple of games, right? I mean, that's what everyone else was also saying. There was a lot of concern about the way they played Oakland, only winning by double digits. But one thing Purdue proved tonight is that this program, this team, these guys with these leaders rise to the occasion. They play to the level of their competition in a good way. Um, yeah, they can occasionally come out flat. But the thing I've said many times is that what this team does is get up for these big games. And when they have their flat games, it's usually a stupid one, right? They're going to drop a couple dumb ones like they always do. It's going to be Rutgers, Northwestern, something like that, because that's always what happens, right? But these games that have that tourney feel, this team knows how to get up for them. And that's a direct result of their leaders. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, talk about the game, talk about what's ahead. But first, let me thank our sponsors. First of all, wearing one of my favorite sweatshirts. It's the Purdue, the old school logo. You can get this at Home Field Apparel. You can get a lot of cool stuff at Home Field Apparel. Go to homefieldapparel.com and get some Purdue stuff. Get some other team stuff if you want to, but I don't know why you would want to, especially right now as we head into basketball season. Um, Also, when you're on campus, especially if you just watch this game and it's only 9:25 Eastern, man, perfect time to head over to AJ's. Get over to AJ's, have a celebratory pint, have a celebratory burger. Just be celebratory. Enjoy yourself. Say hi to the wonderful owners, the wonderful staff. Have a great time. You will never leave disappointed. We say this all the time, but it's true. AJ's, burgers, beef, beer. Lovely boys. And just a great experience. They have trivia night. They have all sorts of cool things. It makes me wish I was closer because I never get there during the cool stuff during the week. So go to AJ's, fill in for me. Be a good patron of AJ's. Thank you for doing that. Tell them we sent you. So Purdue, back-to-back years now, has played Alabama and beaten them. Similar scores. I brought up last year's. Purdue had them at home last year. Both teams were undefeated. Purdue won 87-78 at home. Purdue had a strong second half. Stop me if you've heard this before. Tonight, instead of 87-78, they won 87-80. Purdue led by 2 at the half. And I don't know about you guys, but I felt like it was a pace that didn't make me nervous, but it did feel like, man, there are some teams that cannot, keep this pace, right? Alabama's really good. Like, I'm going to talk about the stats here in a minute, and I think the stats belie how good they are. Because I actually was shocked looking at some of the numbers. I thought that they were better, just statistically, than they really were. They just feel like a team. They bomb constantly, and they can shoot. They hit a lot of shots. They hit fewer shots late, and that definitely hurt them when they couldn't knock down those threes late. I would say if we're going to look for things to be concerned about, and I'm not super concerned about this, but I felt like Purdue gave them a lot of open looks. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I felt like Purdue gave them a lot of open looks. And early on, they were knocking them down. They looked like one of those teams. They looked like a Final Four team to me in the first half. Just the kind of team that is going to shoot the lights out. If they're on, they could beat anybody, right? But this is just like Purdue, right? When they're a shooting team and they're relying on the three, if they are not hitting them, right, they could lose any given night too. Now, Alabama, and their fans are not going to take much solace in this, right? But you just lost to the number 2 team in the country, the presumptive number 1 to start the season. That's not really a bad loss. You were in the game the whole time. You lost by 2 in the first half and by 5 in the second half to a senior-laden team with Final Four experience. But Alabama's a team with Final Four experience, right? I'm not going to go back and look at how many guys were on that team from 2 years ago, but Nate Oates is doing a great job. I think that deserves mention too. Like, Alabama is not a basketball school. I know the broadcaster was talking about, these two great programs. I mean, sure, I guess Alabama's been a great program recently, but they're not a historical powerhouse, and Nate Oates has made them a reliable Final Four threat, and that's really impressive. And they're really good. And um, it's the kind of team you worry about, right? That you're going to see, and it's the thing that makes winning a title and going to the Final Four so hard, because you run into teams like this. Hopefully not until deep in the tournament, but man, they're good. I would be happy to not have to see them again ever, or not until very, very late in the tournament in the spring. Alabama's number 8 right now. They're going to probably drop a little. They had a huge win over St. John's, right? I don't know if you all saw that. St. John's was number 5, and of course I saw people saying, well, they're overrated. Okay, let's say St. John's should have been 15. Alabama still put up 104 on them. And when I saw that, I thought, woof, that's going to be tough, because even Purdue's offense is going to have a tough time keeping up with that, right? Purdue's offense did what it had to do. They played defense. They shot the ball well. They looked the most like a team they've looked yet, which shouldn't be surprising. It's only the 3rd game of the season. Things are starting to look better and better. I loved Oscar Clough rebounding. He didn't have that many, but I guess he had, let me look. He had 11 rebounds to go with 9 points. I like what he's doing. I like having a guy built like a freight train in the lane. It's a really nice thing to have another guy in there that you can rely on. Let's Trey step outside. He hit a 3 early, which I think everybody liked seeing. If he's going to hit threes occasionally, man, that is going to make defenses have to make a lot of decisions that they don't want to make. Taking a look at the stats, since I've already started doing that, usually you can't get minutes right after games. Oddly enough, the minutes are up for this game, so somehow they've cracked the technology and it's now out there. What I really like when I look at things like minutes is Braden Smith played 34 minutes. Now, he played the entire second half, but he sat for 6 minutes in the first half. I would love to see him play 34 minutes a game instead of 38, 39, right? I've said this for a while. You're going to need that guy. And that is something that Omar Mayer brings, right? He played 17 minutes. Mayer had 7 points, 3 of 5 from the field, 1 of 3 from deep. He had a couple of assists. And there was a point, too, in the game in the second half where not a bunch of times, but they had Mayer bring the ball up a few times where Smith was not and was able to kind of run around and try to find open space. I love that. When you have a point guard who can also play offense and score points at every level, it's really, really helpful to be able to let him not have to bring the ball up under pressure the entire game. It is a huge difference maker for his legs, for mentally the exhaustion that a point guard goes through when they have to do it every single time for 40 minutes, right? So if Mayer can keep doing that a little bit here, a little bit there, if other guys can do that for him, I think that's just huge. I think it's gigantic. And I don't think Smith's totally had that in his time here, where they really trusted other guys to do that for any length of time. As I said, Mayer played 17 minutes. That's pretty good. I mean, that's a chunk of minutes, and you're going to presume that can go up a little bit as he gets his legs under him as a college player. Again, going through the stats here, Trey's first game of the year, man, was it good to have him back. He played 34 minutes, did not show any ill effects, I didn't think, really. He ended up with 19 points and 15 boards. Man, he had 5 assists to go with that. That is a hell of a game. 34 minutes, 19 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists. He turned the ball over twice. Okay, big deal. Purdue only turned the ball over 10 times as a team. I can live with that. Alabama only turned over 6. 10's not great, but it's not anything to really worry about when you're playing good basketball. This game was won by 2 of Purdue's veterans, right? Trey Kaufman-Renn with 19, Braden Smith with 29 points. I don't know if you guys realized that. You probably did if you were watching. I wouldn't say it was a quiet 29, but it felt like he was doing it all, like he always does. But he was really, he was willing to shoot. He took the most shots of anybody on the team, which is probably not what you want from your point guard. But he was 7 of 19 from the field. Not so great, but he was 50% from deep, 5 of 10 from deep, and 10 of 12 from the line. That's how you end up with 29 points. He also grabbed 7 boards. He had only 4 assists, which actually kind of surprises me in a game like this, but shouldn't surprise you when he's the guy taking all the shots, right? Not really what you want to really have your offense doing, but we've talked about this at Bold Sports a few times, that this team and any given night, it's going to be different guys, right? Whoever's got the hot hand is going to lead your offense. It's not a situation where if one or two guys aren't on, that's it, right? So tonight, leaning on your veterans in a tough road game against a really good team, that shouldn't be that surprising that those guys were the ones that came through. The third member of that veteran group, Fletch Lawyer, did not have a terrific game. He played 31 minutes, 7 points, 3 of 8 for shooting, did not get to the line. You know, Fletch, as Michael in our group said to us, he said he's got a high variance when he plays against good teams, right? He could be really good against really good teams, but there's a lot of variance there. But I will also say I think that comes from being a shooter, right? When you're a streaky shooter, that's what happens, right? Maybe you're just not feeling it. Maybe you're not getting the looks. I think he can be shut down by really athletic, long teams, and that's what happens to him sometimes. But that's fine because other guys came through. I mentioned Clough, 9 points, 11 rebounds. Nice, solid all-around game. CJ Cox had, 3 points in the game. What else? Daniel Jacobson had 9. Nice, tidy game from Jacobson. 16 minutes. He only grabbed 5 boards, but 4 of 6 from the field. Mayer, I mentioned, had 7. And Jakari Harris had 4. Those were your scorers for the game, right? So the only guys in double figures were Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Renn. And sure, I'm sure people will find a reason to be concerned about that. I'm not at all. Your 2 best players having really good games is kind of what you want, right? I think that if Purdue eked this game out and those 2 guys had bad games or shot terribly, that'd be more of a worry. I think this is what you're going to see from this team. Those guys are going to step up. In some games, other guys are just going to go off, right? And then you're going to see some crazy stuff this year, right? So Purdue shot 43% from deep, which is good. They shot 47% from the field in general, only 70% from the line. Interestingly, Alabama was 16 of 44 from deep. Purdue was 9 of 21. Alabama was 16 of 44, only 36%. And I don't know about you guys, I felt like they were an automatic bucket from deep, but I guess that was early, and they were much colder in the second half from deep. And that definitely became obvious in the last 2 minutes, right? They took almost nothing but threes in the last couple minutes, and they were mostly way off. So that's the kind of thing that kind of seals a game, right? When you miss and you don't get any offensive rebounds, because that's one thing that I was surprised. Alabama, with their athleticism, for the game only had 7 offensive rebounds. That's going to be tough, right? If Purdue gets 33 defensive rebounds and you get 7 offensive, you're going to have to shoot a hell of a lot better than 36 from deep and 42 from the field. And that's kind of the game right there. They had 4 guys in double figures. Nobody going crazy. Holloway had 21. Bull Bowen had 13. And then Sherrill had 12. And LeBaron Fillon had 11. So, nobody went off for them. They have really good distribution. They have a lot of guys taking shots. Like I said, they're a really good team, and it's good to get this win. Purdue, as I said in my lower left here, down on the bottom where you see under my name, Purdue is 44-3. I think I have that right. In their last 47 non-conference games, 44-3, which is bananas. I actually don't know if that stat. I heard that from the TV. I don't know if that includes tournament losses because those are non-conference. I'm assuming it does. Purdue just doesn't lose in November. I mean, it's just not a thing anymore, right? And we've joked about this before, that Painter loves losses early because he loves to work on things. I don't know if he loves them, but you know what I mean. He loves to give the team something to say, hey, you're not that good. Keep working. And so despite that, his teams are extremely ready to play early in the season, and they look like a team. They gel. They do all that stuff early. That's Painter's system. That's a team that preps all summer. That's a team that is ready to play. And if you're like us and you were watching all the clips of them working out against each other, inter-squad things, they were ready to play. They were ready for the season to start. And for anyone who worries about games like the Oakland game, I mean, I'll again say, when you're a team that has Final Four aspirations, this is true in any pro sport, right? And any sport, I should say, including at the pro level, like NBA, right? It's tough to get up for early season games when you're really good, right? I'm not saying, yes, you should be up for every game, ideally, right? It's not shocking that you're not as locked in against, say, Oakland at home, because you don't have to play your best game. Human nature is such that you're not going to necessarily be as locked in, even if you're trying to be, right? Sorry, I have to turn off my space heater. It's really freezing in here. So I had no doubt. I don't want to say no doubt. I had very little doubt that Purdue was going to come into this game looking much better than they've looked in their first couple of games. I had very little doubt that was going to be the case. And they've proven that. They've proven that for years, guys. So these are the games they get up for. And I think they'll continue to look good. I think this will simply build confidence. The team looked better and better, I thought, as a team. They're still figuring things out, as any team does early. There was still some chatter, some bickering, some coaching by Smith on the court. Guys are still learning how to play together, and that makes sense. It totally makes sense. So Purdue, like I said, is 3-0. They're still number 2. Um, you know, will they move up in the rankings? I got to tell you, I don't even care. Like, I really don't care. I think that, you know, not being number 1 is fine with me. Be top 5 all year. That'd be great. I think they're going to be a single-digit ranked team all season. I can't imagine them falling out of that. They'd have to have a really bad run of 2 or 3 losses, I think, in a week. Um, and you know, they got one more game before the next rankings come out. They're playing Akron at home. So if you assume that's a big win, maybe they slip up one, maybe they, jump up to 1 again, but they're not going anywhere. They're going to be in the top 2 for a while now. Next few games are, like I said, Akron on Sunday. Next Thursday, they play Memphis. I believe that one is in the Bahamas, if I'm not mistaken. And then they have a little, like an 8-day off before they play Eastern Illinois. And then Big Ten season begins, weirdly, right? December 2nd. And then they go back to non-conference. And then they go back to conference. And then they go back to non-conference for a couple more. So it's a little weird in there. They got Rutgers, Iowa State, Minnesota, Marquette, then Auburn, Kent State. Then it's back to Big Ten for the rest of the way, starting with Wisconsin on January 3rd. So as we said, that's probably the toughest game of the non-conference. Their next true road game is going to be at Rutgers on December 2nd. We all know what happens at Rutgers. I will be there. Hopefully not getting knocked over by Rutgers fans excited at the end of the game. But we'll see what happens. Again, really happy with this. Really think this is exactly what you should expect from this team. A couple of other observations I made during the game. Two things I want to mention. Alabama, the environment. Yes, it got loud in the second half, but man, it was quiet in the first half. And I feel like you never see that at places like Mackey and the other top, 5, 6 arenas that always end up on those lists. They're never quiet, especially for a top 10 matchup. It was really quiet in the first half, and Alabama was playing well. It's very strange to me. I will give them credit that they're. I do like basketball arenas that have true floor seats. That's a weird thing, I know, to bring up, but I just love that they have floor seats in places like that. I wish Mackey had true floor seats. Boiler Dad will say those are the tickets I want. I don't think these days anybody could afford floor seats at Mackey, but I just think it changes things a little bit. It gives you, having the fans even more on top of you is pretty cool. But you saw Smith talking to the student section. That always makes me nervous, right? When it's like a 1-point game and somebody's talking smack. Boogie used to do that all the time. But we're not all built the same, right? A guy like that loves that stuff. Smith loves that. He feeds off that. He loves to talk smack. And they're probably saying stuff to him that he can't resist turning and looking at him. So keep that kind of stuff in mind too. What else did I want to say about this game? I don't know. I think that was pretty much it for now. Let's see what you guys have to say. We got a number of people saying first. Good work. Marshall Briggs is here. Steve Vizano, Patrick Gottschall, Jason Ringer. Steve Vizano says he hates Bama everything. Eric Johnson says Clough's looking solid. I agree. Tim Ayton says Braden Smith Player of the Year. Yes, he's preseason Player of the Year. I think he's got a really good chance at being the National Player of the Year. It's his to lose, I would say, right? He's got all the momentum. If somebody comes out of the woodwork and has an insane season, right, and Smith maybe doesn't have as good of a year that you expected, then someone could overtake him. But it always helps to have that momentum already running downhill. Everybody knows him. Everybody likes him. As far as analysts go, I know a lot of teams and players and fans don't like him. But, he's going to be the Player of the Year. I have someone saying, as a Purdue doomer, I am sad with this result. I don't know what to say there. I guess that's a joke. Marshall Briggs says, good evening. Good evening to you, sir. Boilers 112. Hey, let's be nice to each other. He says, oh no, Bama's going to run Purdue out of the gym. Purdue fans last week. Yes, people said that. Yes, people were worried about that. Let's not belabor that. Let's not worry about that. Let's hope that people incrementally, like little bits, people start to, you get a few more over to saying, oh yeah, wait a minute. They do this. They do this every year. We're in a really good position, guys. It's annoying when that happens, but we're in a really good position that Purdue is so good that people are looking for things to be upset about. There's always going to be those miserable people, and not even necessarily miserable, just people who are grumpy or worried or always seeing the negative and stuff. That's being a Purdue sports fan. Let's be honest. The anvil has fallen on our heads often enough that I can understand why people might say the shoe's going to drop, the bottom's going to fall out, whatever analogy you want to make. I get it. It's decades of feeling that way. But this team is different. Matt Painter's different. Going to that Final Four a couple years ago really changed things. I think, frankly, we've talked about this going back to 19. That team that just about went to the Final Four really began to change things in terms of what people believed was possible. Yes, that was another chapter of pain, but it was a different kind, right? It wasn't underselling. It wasn't falling super short of what you could have done. You were getting to the point of saying, this is all we can do and maybe a little more. And now they have done that. And now you've got a team where you're saying, look, anything short of a Final Four, people are going to be disappointed, right? And that's a good place to be. That's really good. That's great, right? You'd rather that than to be Indiana, who's switching over teams every year, or in Illinois, who thinks they're great every year and can't quite get past teams like Purdue. It's really good to be in this position. Ben Cotton says, Dowd's looking extra handsome tonight. Ben, I assume you have like a Ring camera in Dowd's house. He would love that. Are you kidding me? He'd dance. He'd do all sorts of things. He'd take his clothes off and be, oh, am I on camera? Oh, I forgot about that one. He does that kind of stuff. Trust me. I've known him for a long time. He does things like that. You should have seen him in the dorms. He used to do that thing, he'd walk out of his dorm to go take a shower and be like, oh, I forgot my towel. It was embarrassing. John Timmons says rebounding domination. Yes, rebounding. Let's see. That was something everyone was concerned about, right? Rightfully so after last year. Let's see. Rebounds. Purdue had 52. Alabama had 28. Woof. So I mentioned the turnovers, them having 6, Purdue having 10. That's more or less a wash. I know that's not quite a wash, but 6 and 10, those are both pretty low. Purdue has 52 rebounds, including 33 defensive. Alabama has a total of 28 with only 7 on the offensive boards. You're never going to win that way. Again, like I said earlier, unless you shoot the lights out, and they did not, as it turned out. So yeah, rebounding, that was really great. That was really nice, and it's nice to see certain little leaks in the ship from last year getting plugged, right? The few things that weren't great, like rebounding, being much, 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 much better against the top. They were number 8, top 10 team. Boilermaker 63 says, we love that we own Tennessee and Alabama. I'll say, let's be careful, because these things come around. I do think Tennessee's going to beat Purdue one day in a big spot. I don't know when that's going to be, but man, that stuff worries me. Let's see here. Oh, Michael Guardiola says, look for me on Saturday with my UW Purdue House Divided flag. Michael, I hope you're serious. And I don't know if you're a regular watcher. I don't recognize your name as being here all the time. But as you may or may not know, several of us are actually making the trek out there. I still can't believe I'm going out to Seattle tomorrow. I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe it. I was talked into this by these idiots that I do this with. So we'll be there. We will be in the stadium on Saturday. And come find us. We're going to be undercover on the end. I'm not exactly sure where, but we're going to towards the water. I know that. Towards the water end of the stadium, undercover. Can't tell you which side, but we'll try to post something so people can see us. Jim Garfinkel says J Money Live. Yeah, that's the name of my that was the name of my late night show. It was canceled after just a few episodes, but I thought J Money Live was a good title. But Jimmy Kimmel had it first. So Steve says he can hear me. Good, thank you, appreciate it. Thank you guys for letting me know. Frail Hammer says Purdue drops to number 3 after this performance. That would be pretty funny. I don't care. Don't care. I really don't. I don't care. I'm not going to spend the year being like, that's not fair. Whatever. I want to work towards the number 1 seed, and I want Purdue to just keep winning games, and I am fine with them not being number 1. Let them develop a chip on their shoulder. That would be great. I would rather that, frankly, than be told how awesome they are for 4 or 5 months. Let's just that's the not negative, but that's the side of me that gets worried about things and says, ooh, what can we worry about? Well, that's it. I don't want them to believe they're that good. I want them to feel they have something to prove constantly. Let's see here. Big win. Blake says, Painter made some nice adjustments after the Oakland game. Adam says, yeah, like playing Trey Kaufman-Renn. That was a nice adjustment by Matt Painter. I really like that. And then Ron Gable actually says exactly that. So Ron, I promise I hadn't seen that comment. Ron says the same thing. Really nice adjustment. People saying, hey, they wouldn't have been that mad if they lost. I agree. I wouldn't have been devastated by a loss. Yeah, this is a really good team. Let's see. Let me scroll down here, see what else is happening. Sonny Dykes. Yeah, I didn't even realize Sonny Dykes was on the call. I was tuning them out. I don't get as bothered by bad announcing crews bother Boiler Dad more than anyone I know. They don't generally bother me until it becomes like Gus Johnson level of screeching and weirdness, right? If they're just bad, like Sonny Dykes, I somehow have learned to tune out because I don't know. He just doesn't say anything that meaningful, right? He's just not that good. He likes it. He's into it. But some of these guys, man, they get these jobs. And then you hear a game with like Rob Hummel and you're like, man, that's how good it can be. Or Ray Davis. And you're like, man, those guys are real. Now, maybe I'm biased, but those guys do their homework. They're clearly prepared. They know every player that's on the court and they will tell you things about them. Like they are not burnt out. They're not tired. They're not lazy. They do a really good job. Let's see here. Yeah, Boilers 0-2 says Jimmy Dykes had no clue who was on the court at any given time. Probably thinks the pig says moo. TKR looked really good. That was brought up in here as well. Let's see, what else? Boilers 0-2 says Bama may very well go to the Final Four again. I agree. I think they're really, really good. The thing that's so hard, though, is there's so much talent in college basketball right now. Like one of the byproducts of this era is not just that you can reload a team so fast with talent, right? You can just buy up players and have talent again, which doesn't always lead to anything. Just ask Indiana. But the other thing it does is it keeps so much more talent in college because, I mean, there's no way Zach Edey comes back for another year, I don't think, if he wasn't making anything, above the table. I think he would have gone to play pro. But when you're making $1 million or $2 million or whatever some of these guys are making, why not keep playing? Why not? Like some of them may not play much in the pros, or they may have to play in Europe. So why not come back for another year? And that's led to so much more talent and so many more teams that can rise up. I don't even think at the start of last year, Florida was seen as a Final Four contender at the start of the year. By the tournament, people were picking them to win, and then they did, right? So, like, that's the thing. You don't know who's going to rise. Yeah, I think Alabama could be a Final Four team. I think Nate Oates is a really good coach. Who knows, right? It's challenging. It's challenging to get through the gauntlet that now you'll have to get through. Let's see here. Love that Oscar knocked down 3 out of 4. M3 Adjuster says to ice the game. We go so many seniors. Yeah, I like that too. He would just grab the defensive rebound and get hacked. Fine, send the big guy to the line. I'm okay with that. Let's see here. What else we got? Sam says, how does Purdue just go win a game in Tuscaloosa against a quality opponent? Don't they realize Kentucky beat them in an exhibition? Yeah, that stuff was so funny. I mean, that was the most predictable loss ever. It was so predictable. And the fact that Kentucky's not that good. You'll hear me say this. I don't know how much I'll say it on our shows because we don't talk too much about Kentucky. I've said it on Twitter, and boy, do they get mad. I love watching this kind of thing. Kentucky fans trying to talk themselves into Pope being the answer, right? And maybe he will be. But they kind of pushed out Calipari like they all did. And Calipari did nothing but win and dominate that conference and win him a national title and go to Final Fours. And they made it miserable enough that he said, I'm going to leave. I'm going somewhere else. And now he's got a team. I've seen Arkansas picked as a dark horse. Like that's a team that could go to the Final Four. And it would be hilarious to me if he takes them to the Final Four before Pope takes Kentucky. And I think that's very possible. And I think they finished something like 6th in the SEC last year, Kentucky, something like that. They were not that good. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, first year under Mark Pope. And then they had a decent tourney run, right? They went to the Sweet 16, I think. And everyone celebrated that. And I always find that stuff so funny. It's kind of like Nebraska football, where you kick people out for not being Tom Osborne. And then you get to a point where you're like, woo, 7 wins, bowl game. Thank goodness. And it's like, yeah, you guys had that. You had more than that. And Kentucky had more than this. They had more than Sweet 16s, right? More than Sweet 16 level teams under Calipari, and they pushed them out. So I love it. I eat it up. I think it's fantastic. Don't like push out people when you've got it really good, Steve Azzano says he hopes we schedule Alabama every year for the rest of time. Love playing against Nate Oates' offenses. Hats off completely to him. I agree. I said it already. He's a great coach, runs a great offense. His teams are really good. That team's going to have to rebound better, right? That's the thing that got exposed tonight. They're going to have to rebound a lot better if they're going to go far. Let's see what else here. 21 lead changes, 14 ties, a great game, even better since we led the majority, and most importantly at the end, says Patrick. I agree. Anish Ramaswamy is here. longtime listener. 7th top 10 non-conference win by the Smith Lawyer TKO trio, plus number 11 Gonzaga. That's a good factoid from Manish. 7th top 10 non-conference win. Interestingly, they said on the broadcast at the end, I think I have this right, it was their first win over a top 10 team on the road in non-conference since 1982. Now, that's more of a product of how often do you play a top 10 non-conference game, right? Pretty rarely. But keep checking the things off, right? Keep checking them off, right? One thing after another. The guys seem to be pretty relaxed late, Brian T says. I noticed that too. The game was it was in doubt. It was by 3 points, something like that. I remember Smith being at the line and he's laughing and talking to guys and not laughing in the like trying to be a jerk to the student section. Just he looked chill. This team does not have that angsty look that they had a couple of years ago where it was like, gotta win every game, right? It's like, we know what we can do. Everyone, it's the old gif of everyone calm down. It's fine. We're going to be fine. And if we don't win, it doesn't matter. I mean, not that it doesn't matter, but it's okay. November games, okay, everyone relax. And what that leads to is a relaxed team that does what they're supposed to do and delivers, right? Let's see, what other comments do we have here before I wrap things up? Steve Zano says Omar's quick 7 in the first half was huge, completely took the pressure off Braden. I agree. Being able to give Braden, I'll say it again, giving him minutes on the bench, I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness, being able to rest him. I hope that happens more in the second halves of games, right? If they're up big on Akron, just play Mayer. Let's just let Braden rest here and there. I know he wants to play. I know Painter feels like he should put him out there all the time because you want to give him a chance at everything, assist records, everything else. Not that it's about that, but right, you want to give him every chance. But let's keep it to 32, 34 minutes. I would love it. Love it, love it, love it. Let's see. Scroll. What else? A lot of comments here. Thanks for all of you for joining. I really appreciate it. Caleb Gerald, longtime listener, first-time caller. But BTFU, having TKR able to pass to another big is huge. Could not agree more. He's such a great passer. I mean, that's the thing. He's so good. He's so good. Like, if he decides to go, if you're going to try to defend him one-on-one and he's in the paint, he's going to make one of those great little moves, right? And he just kind of soft touches it right in for a basket, right? Or he's going to make a great pass, or he's going to find a guy cutting. Like, first game, guys, that was his first game of the year, and he looked that sharp. So more of that to come. It's going to be so great. Let's see here. Yo says we turn it over 16 plus times in the past in a game like this. I agree. I think that's, that was a frenetic pace, a lot of pressure. I agree. I think that's also been tightened up. But that's when you have seniors and you have guys with lots of games of experience, 100+ games of college experience, that kind of stuff starts to sort itself out. I liked Jacobson. And Theory Duster says he played well, but on threes he was his man down way too much. Yeah, I mean there was a few times where I felt like Alabama got too wide open of a look. And that's going to burn you if they shot better than, like I said, 30-something from three. That's going to burn you more. But, it's like they seem to know what they were doing. I don't know. Let's see here. What other comments do I want to get to? Smash the like button, guys, says Brian T. I agree, Brian. Thank you. Smash that like button. Bradabon says, all the haters said as soon as Caleb first left, they would regress because you can't just replace the winningest player in Purdue history. That's a great point. Great point. They've somehow overcome that. I love Caleb first, and so do all of you. That dude, Boilermaker, dude wanted to be at Purdue, did whatever they asked. You want me to be a starter? You want me to barely play? You want me to start again? Whatever. You want me to dress as an elf? I'll do whatever you guys want. And he did it with the right attitude at all times. So, Joe Ensley says the last time Purdue won a road game against the top 10 non-conference foe was 1970 at Rupp against UK. That's not what they said in the broadcast. They said they beat number 7 Louisville on the road in 1982. So in your face, Joe Ensley. That's what I have to say, because I just pulled that from memory from seeing it on the screen. I don't have notes. I don't have anything in front of me. It's all up here. It's all up here, guys. There's not much else up there. Cobwebs, bourbon residue, and obscure sports stats. Let's see. What else we got here? I can't sleep on Akron. They're going to give us a game like Oakland. I hope they do. Like I said, I hope Purdue is pressed. I hope that they are challenged. So I appreciate all the comments, guys. This is probably what's going to be all year, where you guys are going to show up, and it's going to be great having you all here. Let's see here. M3 Justice says he'll be in the stands at Washington. Ooh. All right. So some of you are coming out there. Kevin Spry says watching the Bama fans leave early was quite delicious. I said in the Boiled Sports group chat, I just wrote, why are they leaving? Are you trying to beat the traffic in Tuscaloosa? I mean, I say that. I've never been to Tuscaloosa. Maybe it's really tough to get out of there. Some college towns, you've probably been there too. There's like one road out and one road in, and sometimes it is a pain in the ass. But that's more of an issue after football, not really after basketball. So, yeah, that was funny. Like, there's 2 minutes left, minute left, and they're getting out of there because it's 5-6 points. I mean, crazy things have happened. I wouldn't be leaving, like, because you surely, unless you have season tickets, you paid probably a premium for this game. So I wouldn't be leaving. So what else we got here? Hail Purdue, hail to old Purdue. I agree. Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for showing. Thanks for talking. Purdue moves to 3-0. Purdue wins 87-80. Purdue wins for the first time against the top 10 team on the road in 43 years. And it's funny because you say that and it makes it sound like, oh, they finally did something. I mean, that's silly because they've beaten some really good teams throughout the season, in the tournament, in the preseason non-con, in the conference season. But to be able to play a team on the road, truly on the road, that's top 10 is just not that often. You just don't do it that much. Teams are scheduling more games like that now, and that's awesome, right? Yeah, that's what I have to say tonight. About 37 minutes right now. So I appreciate you guys joining us. Again, check out Home Field Apparel. Check out AJ's on your on campus. Get yourself something good to eat. Check us out if you're in Washington. We are going to be in that Husky Stadium. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. I don't know. It's an illness. It's a true illness. My wife did say to me, I can't believe you guys are going that far. And I said, I've been saying that for 3 months. I don't understand why we're going that far either, but we are. So appreciate you guys joining us. As always, Purdue's 3-0. Purdue's awesome. Purdue's going to win the whole damn thing. I think we all know that. Oops, well, that was allowed. Sorry, I shouldn't put that out in the ether. But yeah, that's what we want, guys. That's what it is. That's the brass ring. That's it. That's what's left on the checklist, right? Braden Smith, Professor Lawyer, TKR, Matt Painter. That's what those guys have left to achieve. And then they become, even if they only go to a Final Four, this probably becomes one of the best classes at Purdue ever, right? It probably does, right? Not probably, it does. We are living in the good old days. We've talked about this, right? We were asked if we're going to do a handsome hour after the game in Washington. I don't know about that. Steve Azzano says, man, wish we had a handsome hour after every game. Yeah, it's hard to get everybody's schedules aligned to do that. You're lucky we do it once a week. It's getting hard to talk about football every week. So usually what we do is we stop that after football, right? And we just kind of do the post games on basketball because there's so many of them, right? So you get a lot of content that way. And then we try to get the group of us together for periodic basketball beats or handsome hours, whatever we call them during the season. And we're going to figure that out, guys. I don't know if this is the kind of season where maybe it makes sense to have a standard one, continue to do it every Monday. I don't know. We'll figure that out. We'll look into it. We'll figure it out. But you're going to get content. Don't worry. You're going to have one of us doing game wraps on every game, which is what we've been doing for years, for those who don't know. But we're going to be there. We're going to be there enjoying this with you. We're really appreciative that you come enjoy it with us. This is a quick moment. I'll just say we got an email in April. This is embarrassing. That took us forever to answer. But we got an email in April from a woman who's in the service, who is a Boilermaker. She's in the Navy. And she shared the crazy places she would listen to the podcast, right? And how it helped her feel connected to Purdue. And I've been meaning to talk about it on one of our shows, and I'll try to do that on maybe a handsome hour. It was really inspiring. I think you guys would all like to hear the story too. But to hear from you guys and to hear from different people what this means to them to have a community, and I don't think it's us that's special. I think it's the fact that we have this community and that we can help bring you guys together. That's what is really awesome about this, and that's what we really love. Because when we hear those stories, it's like, man, I don't want to say that's why we do it. We do it for our own psychosis, right? But the fact that other people enjoy it and it connects you to things, or it makes you think about your dad, or it reminds you of the good times you had. That's really the reason we all talk about it amongst ourselves, and the reason we decided to do this in the first place. So thanks again for joining. It's 40 minutes. That's way more time than you want to hear from me. Purdue's 3-0. Purdue's awesome. We'll talk to you guys next time. Purdue plays Sunday after they play football on Saturday. So we'll see. Maybe there'll be a post game. Maybe we'll all be together. Maybe we'll all be kind of gathered around a little, like, one monitor or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Love you guys. Good night. And I have to wait because then the YouTube cuts it off if I stop it too soon because YouTube doesn't like restream, I think. So now we're in Boiled Sports.